There was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
This is the Marvel Tribe, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Marvel Tribe. We are a group of excited and passionate individuals who come together to share our love for all things Marvel. We are brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider. I am honored to be joined by this amazing group of Marvel nerds. I have Sam and Breanna here. Now, from the big screen to the small print, feel the pulse in your chest so you know you're alive. One team, one love. It's the Marvel Tribe.
Marvel Tribe.
All right.
All right, we're talking episode 5 of Moon Knight.
Yes. Oh my God.
World's saddest episode. Everything.
So, we're gonna do what Disney should have done is put a trigger warning on this because there is some discussions of abuse and trauma that goes on this episode. So a lot of people weren't warned about that, but this kind of goes with the territory when you're dealing with a DID,
Dissociative identity disorder.
Thank you. So it really kind of gave us a really in-depth look as the origins of what's going on with Mark Spector, our Stephen Grant and stuff. So this episode picks up the opening is a little bit different. It kind of opens in like this dark cave, and you hear the little boy screaming help and stuff, and then you see a flash of a lady, which we later know becomes as their mom, but she's like yelling at Steven, and then they show
Mark,
right? Mark, yelling at Mark, and then it cuts right back to where he picked up of everyone's yelling because they have walked to where it walks into the room. So you have Mark and Steven and to where it all screaming all in unison and stuff. So that's kind of how the scene kind of opened up and stuff. So we got a nice little unexplainable glimpse of something. There's water, there's a cave, there's little boys crying for help, and then this mom figure. I forgot I think I wrote down the note what she said too. She said, "This is all your fault," and then that's where everyone screams and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of preparing you like we're about to go into a roller coaster ride here.
We are about to basically see the genesis moment of Stephen being created.
Yes. So
because we did find out, in line with comic lore, that Mark is the original identity.
Yes, indeed.
So that was solidified for us this episode. So
they end up screaming out. I wish I watched this episode more than twice, but so they end up, they're screaming. There's the goddess who is the goddess of fertility and the protector of mothers and children, Tueret, who's an amazing goddess in her own right. She is the one who is tasked to lead them to I believe it's called Araru, which is the field of reeds. Mm-hmm. So what happens is in Egyptian lore is if your heart gets weighed by Anubis, and if you're on the scales of justice, and if your heart is balanced with the feather, you can pass on to the the field of reeds and live in paradise. To where if you're not, you are doomed to an eternal death, and usually you get eaten by an Anubis pet, which is Amit in Egyptian lore. So it's kind of interesting. But she's the tour guide to help weigh their scales and stuff. And so she's basically, after they kind of freak out, she's like, oh, there's, two of you. And it's like, are you guys twins or something? And one says no. And Steven says, yeah, kind of, sort of. And so there's this kind of brief introduction piece. And forgive me if I skip over this, because I think it immediately cuts to them in Dr. Harrow's in his office, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see a bruised up looking Mark. Now, I shared with Breanna earlier before we started the show that I think that's our first introduction to Jake, or Scotty, as we've been calling him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
He has this very much a fresh bruise on his face, has, kind of this little Band-Aid over his nose, like he broke his nose, kind of like into what a boxer would, have after a fight and stuff. I really think this, I was paying attention to his accent the second time around, I was like, it sounds just a little bit different. I know Mark has an American accent, but it sounds just a little bit different than Mark Spector's accent. I think that we have the two souls that are in with a Tuaret, which is Mark and Steven, and we have Jake having a counseling session with Dr. Harrow in the room. So, but I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. We'll explore that as we go through this episode and stuff. But he's talking to him, and he's talking about how his mind is a pendulum that is swinging between reality and going back and forth between reality and, I forgot the terminology, but fantasy, back and forth. So he is being extremely confused, and he was very interested in something that he said when he was talking about the hippo, and call him the hippopotamus. He's like, yeah, tell me more about the hippopotamus.
He said the rhinoceros. It was a hippo.
Yeah, it was a hippo. Yeah, he said the rhinoceros and stuff, and he's like, no, it was a hippo. I think he knew it was a hippo. He just wanted him to be participatory.
Yeah.
So I think that's a trick that doctors use to get you to kind of start talking and stuff. They'll say the wrong thing on purpose for you to correct them, and then here you go. You're verbalizing. I know this trick very well.
David does it to get us talking. No, I'm just kidding.
I've done. Hey, there's no shame. We've all need help, everyone, and I've seen therapy and stuff when I was in college, and so yeah, I know this trick very, very well. So, so anyway, he talking. Oh yeah, no, it's a hippopotamus. So yeah, tell me more about the hippopotamus. But I was really interested in the child. You're talking about your childhood and stuff, and then he mentioned his brother, and that's where he started to kind of freak out and kind of tries to end the conversation. He picks up the glass the little pyramid statue on his desk and holding his hand. I thought he was going to stab Dr. Harrow, but it looked like he was about to be self-injurious with it. And then so I didn't see him actually push a button, but there's a buzzer that went off for the orderlies to come in. And so they come in. Yeah, okay. So I don't have experience with that, but I heard a buzzer, and I was like, oh, how did he signal that? So the orderlies came in and they grabbed him. He started, this was where I think Jake was really being a very weird kind of person. Like, everything's good and fine here and stuff, as he's trying to jab, the thing in his eye while they grab him and stuff. Which is why I think that is Jake. I don't think that was Mark, because I think Mark would try to absolutely kill Harrow, not hurt himself. But I don't know. So they end up grabbing him and they inject him with something, a sedative, I assume, to calm him down. And then it cuts right back to the hippo, Tuaret. No disrespect, I won't call you hippo again. It cuts back to Tuaret and Mark and Steven. And Tuaret is explaining to them that they are in the Great Plains. They died basically, and she is there to kind of help escort them to the great Great Hills of Reeds. And
this is basically their purgatory.
Basically, yes. And there's a lot of different planes that people see and experience. And she even mentions the very famous astral plane, which we all got, the ancestral plane, which is in Wakanda, which is where the Wakandans go in between their death. They get to see the fields with the panthers and the past kings and stuff. So and she commented how beautiful that place was and stuff. So this actually did a lot to Marvel's world building, even though they're saying this is disconnected. This actually does explain a lot. There's a lot more different realms and stuff that exist out there, and so that was kind of cool. But Mark didn't really believe her. He wasn't. He's like, yeah, no, this is just crazy stuff. This is what Dr. Harrell, was talking about, reality and this and that, and Steven looked at him and was like, Dr. Harrell, what? And so he's like, Mark is trying to like back away, and he goes through this door, and he first actually goes down the hall, and he sees the lights in the hallway kind of shift, like he's on a boat, and then he goes through this door, which we get an Easter egg QR code. If you guys don't know, the QR code for this Easter egg is for Moon Knight issue number 1, 1980s print, which introduces Moon Knight's origin story. So if you guys
we got a Steven origin story, and we did get the origin story for the Fist of Khonshu.
We did. So he goes through that door that was labeled with that QR code, and he realized he is on a ship that is traversing the sands, that is taking them to their judgment, or they're going to get cast overboard if they're judged poorly. It's kind of a cool little scene. For those who don't know, that ship also is the same ship that you see inside of the fish tank in episode 1. There's a lot of references of what's happening in the psych ward and what happened in the previous episodes and stuff. So they're on the ship, and then in comes Steven and Torret, and she's explaining to him about the scales, and she hasn't done this in a long time. So she reaches in, grabs their hearts. Their hearts are stone, white marble. I'm assuming because Disney is not trying to have bloody hearts on their show, so they're made out of white marble. And she's like, "Oh, I haven't done this in a while. I thought I was going to cave your chest in by doing it, but she did it nicely."
Nice job, Torret.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So she takes to the scales, and she sets the 2 hearts on one side of the scale, and then she pulls out the famous judging feather, set it on the other scale, and it's uneven. So it's not that it's not balanced. It's just it's not making up its mind. It's in chaos, similar to how earlier in the series that when Harold weighed Mark's or Steven's judge Steven, he found chaos inside of him. So Torret turns to them and tells them, like, "Hey, look, so I've never seen this before. This is new to me, but I do know that there's some truths you have to discover about yourself or figure out." And so inside, she's directing them back towards inside the hospital or through the doors of the ship is all of your past truths. You guys, need to explore and figure out what you guys are missing and stuff.
Basically telling them they need to get on the same page and stop lying to each other.
Yeah, because it's the heart's unbalanced right now, and there's some secrets and doors that are not being revealed to each other. Now, while saying that, there's a little scene where Mark said, "Hey, we should, definitely kill Torret and throw her overboard and just commandeer the ship." Steven obviously poo-pooed that idea. So.
It's like, we cannot kill a goddess.
No, yeah, which is rightfully so, because that would have been funny to see them try, but no, that plan would have poorly been executed.
Thank you, Steven, for being the voice of reason.
100%, yes. So they go back into the doors, and they're back into the psychiatric ward, and so they are trying to see. Oh, the first thing they see is it there's the Moon Knight that's in the bathroom beating the crap out of somebody. We don't really see who he's fighting, so we see kind of a partial glimpse in the reflection as they look through the door of Moon Knight, bashing some guy and stuff as the fists of Khonshu. And then they Mark goes on, he looks at another door and he sees Steven with Khonshu reversing the stars, the 2,000 years to find the map and stuff. Now, which I thought that was really, really well written, because it was Steven who was dressed as Mr. Knight and not Mark. So Mark was not aware of what was going on. So he looked at him like, wow, what the heck is that and stuff.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? So there's that. And then they end up going into another room where all these zombie looking people were. And they were just sitting at these tables and stuff, had these little Egyptian artifacts around them and stuff, looking like little dead zombies. And Mark told Steven, these are my victims. I was the fists of Khonshu, and these are all, he was naming places that he encountered these people and stuff. And he was like, these are bad people. He's trying to explain to him, like, I'm not just a murderer. I dealt justice. And these people were predators and killers and you name it and stuff. And they and so they're walking through, and you can tell Mark was anguished, kind of reviewing his life and stuff. He's like, how you can kill all these people so easy. And he's like, yeah, no, it's not. He's telling him it's not easy. This isn't something you ever forget when you have.
And he doesn't, like, he remembers the time, the place, everything. He remembers the details. So he's obviously holding on to it.
Yep. So he shared that tidbit with Steven and opened up to that. And then Steven on the side of the room sees notice a little boy. Now, later that little boy is to be revealed as their little brother, but Steven don't know he has a brother. So Steven thought that this is another one of your victims and stuff. Like, what the heck is going on? And before Mark could utter a word, the boy runs off and Steven gives chase. And he chases them through the hall, and the boy goes in the door, and Steven falls behind him, and then he shuts the door on Mark. So Mark's locked out of this particular memory and stuff, and then Steven gets to bear witness to a part of his past that he had no clue about. He sees his this little boy drawing a fish cartoon that happens to have one fin like his actual real life fish, and his him asking his older brother Mark if they can go to the caves or go to some place and stuff, and them asking their mom, and she's like, yeah, Mark, protect your little brother, and and stuff, and Mark says that famous line that Steven used to always say to his mom, later gators. And then she says, after a while, crocodile, or did she say after a while, crocodile? Yeah, that sounds right. She said something like that.
Okay.
And so then they go off and stuff, and so Steven's putting together that he has a little brother. He didn't know, another memory, and another reason why the scales went balanced, because another memory that was hidden from him. So he didn't know he had a little brother. So he follows them, and they're going off into the woods. And he's like, I'm gonna be this character, and you can be Dr. Grant. And he's like,
Dr. Stephen Grant.
Like, I'm Dr. Stephen Grant. Come on, sidekick and stuff. And
very Indiana Jones.
Very much so. And so then Stephen looks like, wait, Dr. Stephen Grant and stuff. And so they go off into this cave, and it's starting to like a torrential rain pour and stuff, and
the cave is flooding.
Yeah, the cave is flooding, and we don't see anything bad. They don't show anything bad happen, but we're left to assume that Mark's little brother, Randall's his name, didn't make it out of the cave. And
we do see Steven running in.
Correct.
Into the cave as like in his adult form, saying, boys, the water's too deep, get out. But obviously this is a memory that's already happened. He can't change it.
Mark grabs him, like he somehow gets in there and grabs him, and they snap out of that scene and stuff.
Well, yeah, that happens at the brother's funeral, right? Mm-hmm. When he goes upstairs and he starts going through the different. He's going up the stairs and walking through the different memories of how his mom treated him after that.
Yes.
Not wanting to celebrate his birthday, completely blaming him for everything, and
yelling at him at the funeral.
Yep. Yelling at him at the funeral. Don't want him there.
Just her love for him was just died with his brother, essentially. And then that's when we get to the really, really heartbreaking scene where Mark tells Steven he's not supposed to see it. And we see the creation of what we believe to be Steven, but I'm going to argue that it's not Steven.
So, okay, well, let's have that, because so the moment we see him sitting, the mom banging on the door, saying, open this door, let me in. He does have that moment where he's having a mental episode, and when he comes out of that,
that's not my mother. That's not my mother. That's not my mother.
Yes. He's trying to convince himself that it's not her, and to the point where this new manifestation is created. And this, I think it's Steven, because the kid speaks in a London British accent.
But why would Steven not remember the abuse?
That's the part that there's some question to that and stuff. So I don't think.
So I think it may have been Jake.
I think both of those personalities emerged that day. And so what we saw was him saying, yeah, I better clean up this room and be tidy and stuff for mom, because mom doesn't like a messy boy or a messy room and stuff. And then this is the part where I think that, which they don't show us, another episode happens, because mom broke down the door and got in there, and despite Steven trying to be the peacemaker, just like in that fighting scene where he tried to commit, peace in the ring when they went to go see Mogart, and he couldn't do it, and so he called Mark back to help him, and Mark instantly changed back. I think another, like you said, Sam, I think that's where another personality emerged to take on all of the abuse.
Well, when you think back to other personality shifts that we have seen in the series, and you think about like those scenes where Mark and Steven are both like, I didn't do it. Those are the most gruesome things.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So basically, Jake has had to be the one to... He's had to be like, the one that takes the abuse and the one that gives the abuse. And
go ahead.
I think it has to be that was Jake. I do have some other things that pointed to Jake when we get to further on in the story, but I think that had to be or the creation of Jake as well.
I think we may see that too.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that the point that I was going to bring up is in the future, where I feel like we see Jake again, which we can bring up when we get there.
So I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with this. I do. I don't want to say okay. So I don't know how to define Jake other than he's the guy who takes the punches and doles them out.
Yep.
Steven was created to be the protector of the heart, and keep that really nice,
and the brain.
pure, he's that, and Mark is the actual person who needs this intervention from both Steven and Jake and stuff. So, and they both complete him. So that's I guess how I would sum that up and stuff. Even though we don't have any confirmation that this other personality exists, but we've gotten plenty of clues. We got more clues than we got that Mephisto existed in WandaVision. I mean, So I would be extremely. I would hang up my Marvel hat if they're like, there's only two personalities. I'm like, okay. BS.
Well, did you see all the yellow taxi cabs throughout the episode?
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. Is
so
it not?
In the comics, Jake was the taxi
Jake
cab
Lockley
driver.
was a taxi driver. Absolutely. He chose that profession so he can hear, he's kind of close to the streets and he can hear about the actions and what's going on and stuff, and it helps them fight justice better. So yes, 100%. They know what they're, Jake is here. Scotty, as far as I'm concerned, because that's what I think it's Scotty who asked that girl out on the date in the museum. Scotty from the museum security guard. They're best buds and stuff. I'm just saying. But so it's Scotty until otherwise. That's the place marker and stuff. But I'm sorry, we lost track. Where are we at? So
Creation of Steven, and then
so Mark took Steven from that. It's like you don't need to see this, you can't see this. Mark and I think Steven and Mark had was this where they had that conversation about this is not your fault, you're only a kid. I believe that is what happened.
It's either here or after we reveal about the mom at the end. I don't remember though.
Let's see. So then they end up so they're back in the hospital, and so they're just kind of the truths, their true past and stuff are being revealed to one another. Then it God, where I am
there's
lost.
So many jumps. There's so many jumps. There is. Them going into the hospital and then into the ward with Dr. Harrow. Yes. But I was like, I know then we start kind of going into his life after he created Steven, like what he did.
Like his mercenary work
college,
and
then then he was in the army or the military of some sort, where he went into his fugue state, which I was considering that Jake or Scotty.
He linked up with the mercenary
and then guy. That was, he said, the only work that he could get after going off like that in the military.
So they have that, and he links up with the guy who, God, why I am missing his name. It's not Bonesaw. Oh my. Wow. Okay. Well.
Oh yeah, I don't remember. I just.
Okay, so his mercenary friend, they linked up, and they he talked about how what went down. He tries to stop all the stuff that was happening. He couldn't, obviously, and he ended up getting left for dead as well too. Thought that he was going to be the the victim of.
You might.
Test my back.
Yes.
So. All right. Yeah. So they show the scenes where he is crawling in front of the.
Was it Jean-Paul Duchamp?
Yes, but what is his? He has
Frenchie?
Nope, not him.
Bushman.
Bushman, thank you. Oh my God, yes. Mm-hmm. The Bushman, yes. It was his mercenary buddy, Bushman. So Bushman left him for dead and stuff, and he's limping along to the statue, where he goes before he sees Khonshu, and he's about to, Mark is about to put the bullet to his head. And just end it all, and Khonshu speaks, and he's like, I wouldn't do that if I was you. I see all this torment inside of you. You obviously have you're fractured, and I think you would make for a great one of my be an avatar. You can be
the fist of Khonshu.
Yes. And just give yourself over to me. And so he agreed to that deal. And when he did that, Khonshu healed him, and he turned into the Moon Knight, right then and there.
Mm-hmm. Moon Knight is what I think it says. He owns him, my Moon Knight.
Yes, you are now my Moon Knight, like a chess player. they see. I know we're going to jump around, but I don't care at this point. So they end up back on they're on the ship together. It's Steve and Mark, and to where it is, there's some rocky roads happening and stuff, and we see all these lights like hitting the sand. And what she says is like, these are souls being prematurely judged. And, there's chaos going on. I've never seen this before and stuff. And so this leaves us reason to believe that Harrow actually broke Amit free. Because Amit said Harrow said when Amit's free, it's going to be glorious. People are going to be judged, and we're going to rip people out by the roots. So if they've done evil, they're gone. If they're about to do evil in the future, they're going to be gone. It's like ripping up
if they're a child and they might commit a crime in 50 years. They're going to be gone.
It's like cutting off a bad limb. So we see that manifesting with all of these souls not getting an opportunity to be judged properly and going straight into the sand pits, and just, they don't show them dying, but they show the shooting stars being plucked from one plane into this into this plane of the Duat. So we can say it's safe to assume that Amit's around. Don't know what Amit looks like, but she's on Earth right now, doing her thing, killing people or purging people. So meanwhile, their scales are still unbalanced a little bit, and then the dead from Mark's past starts to climb on board to take him into the Duat, and this is
his mercenary victims.
Yes, Mark's trying to fight him off by himself, and Steven, who's always been afraid to fight because that's not his thing. He is a protector of the good things that embodies Mark. He decided, I serve as a protector. This is what I do.
He's like, if he can do it, I can do it.
Correct. So he picks up a bat and he starts swinging away and turning these mummies into the sand from which they came
a cricket player.
He says 6. Yes, for those who don't know, instead of saying home run from knocking the block off that guy, he says 6 because that's what they do when they score a home run in cricket. They call it 6. So I didn't know that. I'm not a cricket fan, but nothing against cricket. It looks like a very interesting, mint jubilee sport.
Mint jubilee.
I don't know. Do they drink mint jubilees watching cricket and stuff? Maybe shot of vodka sport, I guess.
It's probably like tea and crumpets.
It could be. I like to think their sports, they have some alcohol there. Maybe warm beer because they don't have ice over there. But
okay, tangent. Let's go.
They don't. No, my daughter
okay. So the mercenaries,
Paris, they don't have ice. So, but yeah. So anyway, the last guy is trying to take Mark over, and Steve intercedes and grabs him, and takes him off of Mark, and ends up falling off of the safety of the ship into the Duat, into the sand. Where, oh my God, we get to see him turn to stone right before our very eyes as he's reaching out like Crawley does, the statue guy, as he's reaching out into the air, calling his last words for Mark, as a plea for help. So Mark's unable to help him, and the ship continues to go on. And this is where we get to the part where Mark is actually to where it says your soul is balanced, and he kind of like in a dream state. He's in the field of reeds. He's in the Araru. I know I butchered that word, but I had to try it at least once in this episode. The Araru, which is called the field of reeds, and I believe that. Is that where it ends? Him walking around in the field of reeds, kind of.
Well, did we get to the part with where Steven finds out that mom's actually dead, So did we talk about that? Did we talk about the funeral?
We didn't talk about
and
that
how
part.
He's been calling. So Mark basically admits to him that he's been calling his mom, and she's been gone for months, and that was kind of the moment that basically broke down the veil between them and allowed them to interact more.
Yes.
And I actually think that in that scene, when we see the flask, we see him taking the flask and hitting his knees. I think that might have been Jake again. Because there's a yellow taxi in the background.
Yeah.
Like refusing to go in all black, standing there, refusing to go into his mother's funeral. I think that might have been Jake.
Yeah, I think you might be right. So now I want to kind of circle back and bring. So Breanna brought up an interesting point. Because me and her was having the same conflict, but I was trying to do the mental gymnastics to make it make sense. But she was right. Because she was like, well, if there's 3 personalities, and because they all have like different sections of this one person, why would only 2 hearts be enough to balance the feathers of justice, or scales of justice and stuff? And I thought the exact same thing, but knowing me and how I like rabbit holes, I decided to I asked the question in a different way. I'm like, well, how can we make that true? And so what I came up with was that Jake is, unlike Mark, Mark created Steven for the purposes of segmenting part of what's going on with him psychologically and stuff. So that's why when he was going through those doors, he was a security
blanket.
Correct. He wasn't clued in to everything. He wanted to keep Steven pure and a nice guy and everything, and so he couldn't let him know about that he had a brother or that his mother died or any of it. So he built a wall around around Steven to have this very closed off persona and stuff, which actually manifests itself. We get to see the sweet, caring guy and stuff who you wouldn't have ever thought had an abusive, troubled past. But Jake's seen it all. So there was no secrets that Mark kept from Jake. There's nothing for them to square and stuff. So it would make sense that the hearts that needed to in the person, on the judgment table would have been absolutely Steven's, Steven and Mark's, because Jake was the overseer of everything. He was there for the bad and the good as well and stuff. In fact, I'm willing to think that Jake is the one who probably killed the fish by accident and went to the store to replace it.
Yeah, and I while Steven and Mark are aware of each other, I don't think that either of them are aware of Jake. I don't think Mark is aware of Jake and hiding that at all. Jake is the only one who has the awareness of all.
Yep. I think actual physical, I hate to say this, but I think actual physical abuse is what. So Mark created Steve. Physical abuse, or the reaction to it, created Jake. So Mark, it wasn't like someone like Mark's like, hey, there's this guy I know who's this tough guy, I'm gonna create him to protect. No, Mark absolutely created Steve. That's why he's aware of Steve, but neither one of them created Jake. Jake was created out of fight or flight. That state that he was in mentally created this guy who sees it all, who's aware of everything and what's going on and stuff. So that's probably why they're under.
He's the primary protector of the system.
Yep. So they all play their roles and stuff. And this kind of reminds me a little bit of the movie Split by M. Night Shyamalan. There are some guys who were aware, some of the personalities that were aware of each other, but then there was another personality that they only hear about. They were told there's this, he's this, and they made him into this big mythos, monster and stuff, because they didn't really know what that personality was. Because you only heard, there's fragments of the personalities talking to each other about what this was. So that's what I kind of pictured this was, that Jake personality, or Scotty, came out of something that happened to them. So,
remember the scene when we initially brought up that Scotty, as we were calling him because of the joke, was that scene when they were overlooking the temple and he stood up and he had the alcohol. We've not really seen Mark or Steven drink.
Correct. Yep. To soothe their problems. No.
So the two times that I've seen alcohol in their hand are two of the times that I believe that it was Jake.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I agree 100%. And I really think it makes sense that all three of them would exist if they're dead, or if Mark got shot and it's dead, which is where they're in the Duat realm, then all three of them would be in that realm. Here's what this is going into predicting. So spoiler if you don't want to hear predictions, but I think in that casket, the tomb that was rattling in that other room was Jake, and Jake managed to get himself out of it. And those orderlies caught Jake. Jake got into a fight basically and was brought to Dr. Harrell, and that's who we saw. We saw Jake with the bandage on his nose in that room, and you can't convince me otherwise. I think that absolutely is Jake's was the Jake personalities, because the three of them do exist and are trying to figure out what's going on into this weird world and stuff. And so I think that's why Jake was freaking out the way he did, because that was it was odd. It was super odd. I don't know about you guys, but it was like, his accent is really prominent and kind of changed a little bit. And when he's saying, I'm fine. Yeah, everything's fine. And he holds up the thing like he's going to hurt himself and stuff. I'm like, I don't see Mark doing that. Mark absolutely would fight you and stuff versus like try to take himself out and stuff.
Yep.
Also, why do you have a pointy object in a mental health office?
In an asylum, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was like, that shouldn't be there.
Well, yeah, let's dive into the weird things that we saw in this asylum, because I was proven right that when they were at Harold's neighborhood and they were chased into by the jackal, that room that he said this is the magician's mad magician's man cave. That's the office that they're in. It's just painted white. It is. I checked it out, verified it. It is true. The other thing is that the not doctorate, the when you graduate,
license,
your diploma or license and stuff. It just says doctor of psychiatry, no school, and it's not even signed or anything. It's like no signature, no nothing. It's just there. So there's just a lot of telltale signs that it's just inconsistent with what a real. This is not the Putman Psychiatric Hospital in Chicago, which is actually straight from the comic book.
Putnam,
that's exactly, Putnam. So, but it was definitely interesting. All the little inconsistencies. The pin, believe it or not, this is a weird Easter egg. I don't really know why, but it's in it. The white pen that Dr. Harrell has on him that he writes with, it's the exact same pen that HR had. It was a white pen. So they are purposely, obviously for our benefit, building these things out. This is why I go back and forth about, is he really dead, or is he really just, this is all part of. Yes, he really is in the institution stuff.
Because like I would think that if Harrow is trying to convince him that he is in an asylum, that Harrow would take those things like the HR pen, and he would take the other things that he's seen before to kind of make him seem like all these lives are blending together and it's chaos. So I don't know. I really don't know. What do you guys think? Is he dead?
So I can tell you what I would like. I would like it to go. Yes, I would like him to be dead and Khonshu resurrect him. versus this is all taking place in the hospital, because then it gives more credence to what the creators over at Marvel Studios saying, how this is a little bit disconnected from the rest of the Marvel universe. If he's just a person, then this is inside of his head, inside of a mental institution. He's having just a mental break. I would be extremely heartbroken and sad if that's the case. I want this. Not that I'm rooting from the die, because I do want, obviously I want Khonshu to be real and Khonshu to bring him back to life and stuff. And he is the actual Moon Knight, and I'm rooting for that. I never said I hate the fact that I'm like, yes, I'm rooting for this guy to be dead versus locked up in a mental health ward. So
no, but I completely agree. It's like, you know that the story can't end there. Like, we can't just have Amit unleashed and Harrow doing goodness knows what.
Yeah.
So like, and I don't know if you saw the DisInsider posted today that we've got pretty credible evidence that there will be a second season of Moon Knight, despite them telling us it was not going to be.
So, okay. I know this evidence, and I know that because there's some changing of wording on the Twitter sphere from series, to season finale. And yes, when you use terminology like season finale, that usually means there's multiple, seasons is representing of multiple things. A series is just like when they're putting some out, it's a limited series.
It's one division. It's done. One and done.
So them saying initially series finale, then deleting that and putting up season finale. I won't say it's concrete, but it's absolutely enough.
It's pretty suggestive
that we may get a second season of this.
And I am here for it.
You actively change language, then it means something. I was telling David before we started that I was like, and I feel like this with every Marvel series, that there's always way too many questions left for the season finale, Like, we
say that all the time.
Like, I was like, they can't do this all in one.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I would be completely fine with another season.
Yeah, me too. I want the season if it turns out that we are not inside a psychiatric ward and this is not all inside of Mark's head. I want a second season if this is absolutely like Mark's dead. Somehow Khonshu gets resurrected and stuff, because maybe Layla gets Teruya, because Steven did ask Teruya to go find Layla to help free Khonshu to save Mark. But I'm hoping that's the case. I hope that is because man, I'm not prepared for.
She's like, well, we're gonna have to go through the gates of Osiris.
Yeah, so yes, she has to convince us. I'm looking forward to seeing what Amit looks like. Osiris,
But that's the thing is, like, to where it saw the prejudgment and the persecution of those who have yet to do wrong. And if she were to go to the other avatars and gods and say, this is happening, this is what, you were warned about and it is happening, then, they can unlock Khonshu and
maybe. I mean, so here's my thing. All those gods can be in prison. That's what they very much showed us. That's a possibility. And they showed us it happening in action. So what if part of Amit's thing is to imprison those other gods and stuff so she can have full reign over, so there's no one to really defeat her. So then it'll turn out
we get to see an Egyptian god war.
Yeah.
Because that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Season 2 is an entire Egyptian god war with their avatars.
And somehow, part of the What If series, we get Party Thor, who comes to Earth in the middle of this Egyptian god war because he's a god himself. And no, I'm just saying, like, there's.
Please do not mix Asgardians with the Egyptians.
Well, actually, they're all part of the
they're all celestial beings at this point.
They're god tier celestial beings, and they rule over their own realms and stuff. Just like with the Eternals and everyone else, there's these different level tier of beings and stuff. And just so happens that the Ennead choose to do what the Eternals does, is just to watch and
we did forget something. Mark is Jewish.
Yep. Mark is absolutely Jewish. And they
Shiva.
They did stick to this fate, and they did a very good job at that too, because they did for the brother when he passed. They had it's called the Shiva, the funeral. And you'll notice like on the all the mirrors in the house are covered and draped over, because you're supposed to be in grieving, and there's something to do with not vanity of seeing yourselves, and so it really was sticking with traditions. I don't know too much, so I'm trying not to speak like in an authoritative manner about Shiva, but from what I've heard, they've done a very good job showing what that would look like and stuff. So
yeah. So that was just another thing we learned about Mark that is pretty in line with the comics.
So you want to talk about predictions here? We got like 10 more minutes and stuff.
Let's go.
All right, so I predict. So here this is. So we already pretty much discussed, and we all kind of talk like, yes, there is a third personality, but here's the thing. I'm gonna make a prediction. The personality's name is going to be different. It's not going to, and I'm sorry, I'm really stuck on this placeholder. I think his name is Scotty. I
would absolutely love his name to be Scotty, but I think they're going to go with Jake.
I am here for it, just like I want Mobius to write a Sea-Doo. I want his name to be Scotty, not Jake. Jake for the comics, Scotty for the show, for the live action and stuff. They already changed Layla's name, so they can do this here. So yeah, I think we're gonna see the third personality, and it's gonna be Scotty. Could be Scotty Lockley. That sounds weird, but
no, it doesn't. I actually like the ring. Scotty Lockley.
Scotty Lockley doesn't sound like a badass, really.
Yes, it does.
Like Bucky Barnes. That's not.
It's like
that doesn't elicit.
Wow. Scotty doesn't. No, I'm just kidding.
So I'm here for Scotty. So I'm making a prediction that we're gonna get Scotty. So not only we're gonna get the third personality, but the name. So that's a laser prediction there. Any predictions from you guys?
I agree that we are gonna get the third personality, but I don't think that Steven or Mark are gonna get the third personality.
So we're like as the
audience, we are going to get the third personality,
but they're going to be left in the dark.
They're going to be left in the dark until season 3 or season 2. I mean, season 2,
all the way to season 3.
I jumped all the way to season 3.
I'm
going to season 2, and I do think we are going to see Amit, but we are not going to see Amit be taken down yet.
Ooh,
I would agree with that.
Okay. Do you think you will see? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Breanna.
I can't fully say this with a lot of confidence, but when I keep thinking about it, when you last week talked about Layla and potential character for her, I forget, is it Red Scarab?
Scarlet Scarab.
Scarlet Scarab. I knew it was something what they call her. I feel like we might see an inkling of powers. I don't know if it's going to come from another god, like as an avatar, to either free Khonshu or something like that to get Mark back. Okay. But I when you talked about that, that's all I can think about. I think I'm more of a hope than it is a prediction, but that is what I've decided.
So I'm here for that. Here's my so let me add this real quick. So there's been we've been, for the Disney Plus Marvel content, we've always been we have been being teased with these side characters like the new Falcon. When Falcon gave his wings over to the new Falcon who takes the place. We all know the same name and everything else, but we don't see him don the suit or Wanda's kids. We don't really see them kind of fully emerge into their powers and stuff. We even had some. God, what was the? I don't know if there was another superhero reveal. So much in the Hawkeye. Hawkeye one. I wanted to. There might have been, but we get those like, hey, this is that person, and we're pretty. I mean, name matches. The clues are there and everything else, but we don't get the big payoff. So they leave us hanging. So I want that to happen. I want them to finally be like, we have to pay this off for them at one point. So yes, let's make Scarlet scare up a thing and give her powers and let her show off those powers. But
I don't know if she would have a name, just like a sprinkle of power.
Yes.
Like,
yes, I would love that, to see that she has some power, and that to be like the big reveal, because I don't want to see them take Amit down yet. Honestly, I want there to be another season, and I think that we need that character arc like to keep going. I think if we have Amit down now, then it kind of doesn't lend itself to a furthering of the series, if that makes sense. But I would love to see her show up with some Scarlet Witch type powers, but in Egyptian format.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I would love that.
So I think that Marvel's been pulling the wool over our eyes, and they're going to give us a cameo. And so I have a prediction for the cameo. It's going to be one of two people. It could be completely off base. I don't
Name more. I'm just kidding.
No. So here's my two people. It's either going to be Blade. We got the voice of Blade in the Eternals and stuff, and there's the scene in London and everything else with the museums and everything. Or we're gonna get the Black Knight, because the Black Knight at the end, Eternals decided to grab the sword. Well, we know he grabbed the sword and stuff. So we get a little cameo from I can't remember his character's name, but the guy who plays Black Knight. So that's my two. Or third one, I'll just throw this off there right off the cuff. We get Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider.
You know who his bestie is in the comics. Daredevil.
I know we're not getting Daredevil because
I know we're not.
In She-Hulk, and they could not wait to get that out there and stuff. This would be amazing. No, you're right.
So we could get Daredevil in season 2.
That absolutely is a possibility. They're not revealing anything about they haven't.
Moon Knight and Daredevil are like super tight in the comics, aren't they? Like they're super close allies.
I don't say they're super tight. Daredevil have more of a ethical thing that kind of keeps him a little bit distant from Moon Knight, because Moon Knight is kind of not unfair, unforgiving.
Yeah.
Fist of vengeance and stuff. Like that's why he is compared to kind of like Batman, but he does fight the good fight and stuff. And so Daredevil do respect that, but I wouldn't say they're besties and stuff. They're good work colleagues.
Yeah, they're
water cooler buddies,
superhero allies.
Eat each other's food when they bring the potluck and stuff. So, but yes, no, they're good. They're our allies. They do fight together numerous times and stuff. So yeah, and then we got the Midnight Suns. We got the Dark Avengers. We have a lot of team ups and stuff that Moon Knight's a part of and stuff, and including with some of the things that we're going to see in Doctor Strange 2, which is why I believe we may get a Blade cameo or a Black Knight or even Ghost Rider.
Yeah, and I mean the Dark Avenger stuff is literally just rolling out at us like it's there's no getting around it. It's coming.
There's so many team ups that they can do. I mean,
yep.
Yeah, setting the stage for all this stuff. But yeah, so that, and like I said, I'm rooting for it to be the dead thing versus the mental institution thing.
I agree.
Same.
That's it. And
the Asylum was their purgatory. It was my hope.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the midnight showing tomorrow, even though it comes out Wednesday for everyone else. It comes out midnight here on the West Coast.
Yeah, that's 2 a.m. here.
Yeah, that's still Wednesday. So midnight's still kind of tomorrow night for me. So,
Well, don't spoil it. Wait till I can watch it.
Oh, I may drop an emoji in the chat, and that's it. I won't say any words, but yeah, but I'm loving it. It really was. I was incredibly sad to watch Steven just perish like that because I like that bloke.
Oh.
That dude was a sweet guy, so I wanted him to win. Get the girl, but he's not the real personality.
No. But that reminded me. You said it in the first episode. And it was the very first episode of Moon Knight where Steven's talking to the little girl in the museum, and she goes, were you upset when the snow
that you didn't get it? You didn't get to make the Thilda Reeds. Is like, well, I'm not dead, am I? She absolutely, that was she foretold that very much accurately, and she did not get to go to the Reed Fields.
Funniest part of this episode was that last week? I can't remember when he kisses her.
Last week.
Was that last week? Oh, well, I wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to talk about when he kisses her and then Mark punches himself in the face. I love that.
And throws him down the hole and she's like, what the hell? Why are you okay?
Yeah. Okay, well, I missed that episode to talk about, so I had to talk about how funny I thought that was. But I think that's all we have for this episode, right?
Yes, that is it. So unless you guys got more predictions, that is it. I'm ready for the season finale.
Ready. Season finale. Yes, let's keep it that way. Season, not series. All right. Well, this has been our recap of episode 5, Asylum of Moon Knight. And we will see you after the season finale. Bye.
Peace out.